I'm scared. Yo, it's frustrating for me, man, because somebody who has as much respect and admiration for law enforcement as I do, I mean, to see events happen like what we witnessed with Philando, Castile, and Alton Sterling is sickening. Me personally, I expect a lot of police officers. I was talking to LAPD a couple months ago and told them that the cops are real life superheroes. I mean, Saturday morning cartoons, we had X-Men, Street Sharks, Super Friends, but in real life, the closest thing to any of that is our police officers and our sheriff's deputies. They go after the bad guys, they keep people safe, they give you something to admire. So when incidents like what we saw, and don't act like it's new, stuff like this been going on for at least 100 years. Our police have a history with a lot of good and a lot of bad. When I think about good, I think about Bass Reeves, you know, legend. When I think bad, I think, well, we've all seen it. The crazy thing about it is, as appalled as I am as a black man, I'm not surprised. We grow up knowing things like this might happen. We're talking to single-digit ages to be respectful to police, not out of a moral obligation, but so we don't die. And this isn't done so we can feel like we're in a struggle. It's done out of necessity. And that should not be the case. My life should not depend on how well I say yes, sir. That same peace of mind that others have when they ask an officer, am I being detained? When they're stopped and asked for their license at a checkpoint, that's what we want. Have y'all seen them videos? They will call police everything but a child of God just because an officer asks to see their license while they're operating a motor vehicle. At no point are they worried about their lives when they are yelling at an officer who is just doing his or her job. They tell the police what they ain't gonna do. They call the police officers Nazis. They insult the officers' intelligence. Then when black people want to speak up about injustices, that same group wants to back the blue. Child, please. Now, regardless of what anybody say, I think police have the coolest job in the world. They literally embody what it means to be called out to be the light of the world. And they get paid for it, which is why we hold them to such a high standard. And about 99% of them meet that standard, which is impressive in itself. But just because of the level of power and responsibility they have, when that 1% is not up to par, it cripples the very thing they stand for. To be a good shepherd, you have to know your sheep and your sheep must know you, John 10:14. There has to be a relationship between protector and protectee. Many departments have made major strides in improvement through recruiting and revision of policy, Dallas PD being one of them, which is one of the reasons why the tragedy there is even more horrifying. They're a department literally doing everything right, and to have that happen is just unconscionable. We just need other departments to follow their lead, as well as the lead of other major departments in the country, because I shouldn't be afraid of being executed when I get stopped. And I've been blessed to have majority good experiences with the police, but as a black man, I'm always aware of the possibility. That's why when I do get stopped, the first thing I do is turn on the interior lights. Day or night, Joker, it don't matter. Make sure you can see everything in this car. Next, I put down all my windows all the way. See, it's some other people who only crack the window talking about, my window is down far enough. I wouldn't dare try that because I have no interest in seeing Jesus anytime soon. Make sure my music's off and I have my license, registration, and insurance in hand by the time the officer reaches my door. Hands stay on the wheel, keep eye contact, everything is yes sir, no sir, thank you sir. And the whole time in my mind I'm singing, precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. Just to make sure the Lord knows He's welcome in this place on the side of the road. Me and Philando Castile are literally just about the same person. Spotless criminal history, law-abiding. All it takes is one wrong move to be misconstrued as a threat. Blink too fast, breathe too heavy, scratch your nose too quick, and it could happen. I was Tamir Rice at one point in time. My mama had to take away my toy gun because she knew back then what might happen just because of my skin tone. Being black is a different experience when they're interacting with police, even when you have the utmost respect for them. It's because there's such a history of bad things happening. And those who aren't black need to do less talking and more listening, because if all lives really do matter, then the black experience is valid by default. We shouldn't have to beg you to believe us. If we're saying something over and over again, show some empathy. We can't get anywhere when a marginalized group shares his experiences and then is told to shut up by another group. If all lives matter, then black lives matter too. Let's have faith in one another, but that cometh by hearing. We gotta hear each other. Y'all need to quit trying to call Black Lives Matter a terrorist group that's at war with the police. First of all, Black Lives Matter can't be at war with police because the majority of people in Black Lives Matter got police in their family. That's just true about America in general. You'd be hard pressed to come across a black person that ain't got a friend, a cousin, a mama, daddy, somebody who is in law enforcement. So to hit on my first point, yeah, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what happens if we don't take our responsibilities seriously. I'm afraid that a significant number of officers don't know how much of a privilege and how much of an honor it is to be in the position they are in. I'm afraid those same officers don't know the ripple effect and the negativity that their actions have when they are irresponsible with their behavior. The Bible says, woe to you, O land, when your king is a child. That word child doesn't literally mean adolescent or toddler. It actually means irresponsible. Woe to you, O land, when those who have the power of the king are irresponsible. Only bad things can happen with that. So that's what I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid for my personal safety, not at all. I'm just afraid of what happens if we don't take each other seriously. It's the difference between being afraid and having the spirit of fear. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So I will not feel powerless, I will not feel hate, and I will not allow the actions and the history of what has happened to people who look like me affect my mental stability. But we just gotta start listening to each other. We gotta start reaching out and gravitating toward one another. Just ain't no other way.